Hey guys, this is DeSHANTA B, and I'm here today to share with you a super easy, beginner-friendly crock-pot pork spare ribs recipe. This recipe is so easy, guys. We're going to go straight to the ingredients. Okay guys, for this recipe, I have a slab and a small piece of pork spare ribs. I'm going to guess that this is between 2 and 3 pounds, maybe 4. You will need some white vinegar, some meat tenderizer. It can be seasoned or plain. Some sweet paprika. If you do not have the sweet paprika, regular paprika will work fine. Olive oil, or my favorite, olive oil. Some aluminum foil. And the only seasoning that I will be using is the Weber honey garlic rub. You can use any seasoning or rub of your choice. Okay guys, moving on. Now I'm going to clean the pork ribs, guys. Using a large bowl, I'm going to place the ribs into the bowl, cover the ribs with cool or cold water, and add the white vinegar. Okay, let's go. I'm going to allow these ribs to soak for 20 to 30 minutes. Then I will come back and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, moving on. Okay guys, before we finish cleaning these ribs, now is the time to preheat your crock pot. I'm going to be cooking these ribs low and slow, as they say, as if you were going to barbecue these. I set my crock pot on a low setting for between 5 and 6 hours. If you're going to use a high setting, I would set the crock pot on high between 3 and 4 hours. Now I'm just going to rinse these ribs off in cold water, pat them dry with some paper towels, and move on to the next step. I'm going to replace them back into a clean bowl. Guys, please make sure to sanitize whatever work area that you've had the raw meat in. Okay, let's go. Guys, these ribs have been scored on the back. They were going to be grilled about a week ago, and then plans changed and they were placed into the deep freezer. So that's why you may see the scoring marks on the back of the meat. So now I'm just going to pat them dry with the paper towels and place them back into a clean bowl and sanitize my work area. These ribs have been cleaned and soaked in the vinegar and water. Just a reminder, guys, your ribs will not taste like vinegar. I have placed them into this clean bowl. I'm now going to add the seasonings. Due to the fact that this is a last minute request, guys, normally I would allow the ribs to marinate overnight, but what I'm going to do now is just slightly over season for this recipe these pork ribs, because they're not going to have time to marinate, and then place them into the crock pot. But if you have the time, please allow the seasonings to marinate for at least 1 to 2 hours prior to placing into your crock pot. Okay, let's go. I'm just adding some olive oil to the ribs. Now I'm going to add the meat tenderizer. Remember, guys, if you don't have the seasoned, please use the plain. Now I'm going to add the honey and garlic rub. Please use whatever seasonings that you have in your pantry or that is conducive for you. Wow, that's a lot, but I'm gonna make it work, guys. Now I'm going to add the sweet paprika. Remember, guys, if you don't have the sweet, the regular paprika will work fine. Hopefully this one won't fall out like the rub did. It's real cooking, guys. These things happen, so don't panic. So now I'm just going to rub all of the seasonings into these ribs. Okay, guys, I'm just going to add a little bit more of the honey garlic rub, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, guys, I think this is ready to go. Once again, guys, if you want, you can let these marinate overnight or at least up to an hour, 1 to 2 hours before placing into the crock pot. I have taken at least 3 pieces of foil, ripped off 3 pieces of foil, and have overlapped them on top of each other. If you are using the heavy duty foil, guys, you will probably only need 2 pieces. So now I'm just going to place the ribs on top of the foil and securely wrap the ribs with the foil as tightly as I can. Okay. You want to make sure that these ribs are wrapped as tightly as you can place them with the foil. And then you're just going to secure the sides. And this is ready for the crock pot. Okay, I'm just going to do the second piece. Guys, this is it for your seasoning and your preparation. Moving on to the crock pot. I have my preheated crock pot that has been heating up on a low setting for about 40 minutes. What I'm going to do now is just place the ribs into the crock pot, place a piece of foil over the top of the crock pot, add the regular top, and that's it, guys. I had to cut the larger piece of rib in half. What I should have done first was measured the size of the rib, slab of rib, against the crock pot. But this is real cooking, guys. It's an easy fix. So instead of 2 pieces, I have 3. Okay, let's go. Just place your ribs into your crock pot. I'm going to add a cup of water. Guys, if you do not have a, I guess this is an oblong or rectangle shaped crock pot, don't worry about it. All you would have to do, instead of the ribs laying flat, you would just have to stand your ribs up in the oval shaped crock pot. I've done it several times. It's not a problem. This is just my old crock pot, which is kind of hard to find. So you just place your ribs into the crock pot, add your water. I always put another piece of foil over the crock pot. I want to make sure that none of the heat escapes. Put your lid on, secure it. That's it, guys. Easy breezy, beginner friendly. It's a super easy recipe. It's a no-fail recipe. It's a recipe that is conducive with your palate. This is your masterpiece. Whatever seasonings you want to use, that's it, guys. So all you have to do is just walk away now and just come and check it in about maybe 1 to 2 hours if you're using a low setting. Okay, moving on. It's been about 4.5 hours, guys, and the ribs have been cooking on a low setting. What I've done is I removed one of the aluminum foil packets carefully from the hot crock pot. I'm going to open it up and see if the ribs are tender, if they need more time. This is just a spare rib check. You want to be careful, guys, because it is hot. And for those that may ask, the foil, I use the foil to ensure that all of the heat from the crock pot stays around the meat that I'm cooking. Oh, okay. Look at there, guys. It's been about 4.5 hours. Let me bring you in a little bit closer. So I just want to check for tenderness. Oh, wow. Look at there, guys. Let me bring you in so that you can see. I would say these ribs are just about done. I would give them about another 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes in the crock pot. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to carefully remove all of the ribs from the crock pot, pour off any of the liquid that's in the crock pot, and replace the ribs back into the crock pot, taken out from the foil. But what I've also done, guys, because it was requested that these ribs not have barbecue sauce, I have taken the liberty of taking some of the honey rub seasoning, a little bit of olive oil, and a teaspoon of honey. And this is what I'm going to baste the top of the ribs with. If you're going to use barbecue sauce, I recommend for the last half hour of cooking to remove the ribs carefully from the foil, place them back into the crock pot, baste them with the barbecue sauce, and allow the barbecue sauce to adhere to the ribs and cook for another 20 to 30 minutes. Okay guys, moving on. I have carefully removed any excess liquid that was in the bottom of the crock pot. Then I carefully removed the spare ribs from the aluminum foil packets, placed the ribs back into the crock pot, and what I'm going to do, guys, because I did not marinate this meat prior to cooking, I'm just going to take that little slurry that I made, which is optional, and apply it to the top of the ribs. Now is the time, if you're going to use barbecue sauce, to apply it to your ribs for the last 20 to 30 minutes of cooking. You don't want the sauce to just sit on top of the ribs. You want the barbecue sauce to be infused into the meat. Okay, let's go. Once again, guys, I am just applying this because it was requested that these ribs do not have any barbecue sauce. So I just want to ensure that there is flavor in the meat due to the fact that I did not baste or marinate, I should say, the meat prior to placing into the crock pot. Okay guys, I'm just going to finish basting the bottom part of these ribs. I'm going to place the top back on and allow it to cook for another 30 minutes, and these ribs will be done. Okay, I'll be back. And here you have it, guys. The super easy, beginner-friendly Crock-Pot pork spare ribs. These cooked in a little under 5 hours, guys. These were so easy to do. Just clean your ribs, marinate them, wrap them in foil, and place them in the crock pot. This is an easy recipe to follow for those days that the weather doesn't agree when you want to cook outside, or if you just don't feel like messing with the oven or the grill. So guys, you know what I'm about to say. You know what time it is. Give this recipe a try and stop playing. Normally, guys, I will do a taste test of the food, but unfortunately, guys, I do not eat pork. But what I can tell you, just by going on the smell alone, these smell wonderful. So guys, get those crock pots out. Get your pork ribs or your beef ribs or whatever ribs you want to use, and give this recipe a try. You know what time it is. Stop playing. And until next time, bye guys.